We are less than 1 week away from actual Auburn basketball. Let's go. Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Barn Hoops podcast. It's Kyle Rush, Zep Jasper, and we are ready to get after. I said real basketball. I mean, it's real basketball, but it's not real basketball. We got some exhibition. We have an exhibition game coming up, and then we got another exhibition game shortly after that. We got to break it down. We got some maybe some possible injury stuff to talk through, some sickness stuff to talk through. How are we going to work these rotations? We got so many options. How do you figure out who to put out when? And then just talk about exhibitions in general. I know Zep's got some stories. We got some super secret exhibitions that aren't really secrets and stuff like that we're going to get into. But before we get started, we got to give a shout out to our boy Ford Stokes with Active Wealth. Get your retirement in order. Get your savings in order. There's no reason not to double check, triple check, quadruple check. Make sure you're doing everything that you can do to get yourself to the finish line, get everything, make sure everything's going in the right direction, eliminate fees, delete the IRS, take advantage of products that you need to be taking advantage of. Let Ford take a look over it. Go to retirementresults.com/plan. A $1,500 value, free portfolio analysis straight from your boy Ford Stokes. Big Auburn fan. You can guarantee none of your money will ever go to Alabama's NIL. If you invest with Ford Stokes. So give them a shout, tell them we're Eagle, tell them we sent you, and make a friend at the same time. Zep, we got a exhibition game on Sunday, Auburn versus Furman. It's here, man. Basketball is we've talked about it for a couple of weeks now, but we can see the finish line. We can see tip off right around the corner. I know you got to be as excited as I am.
I'm super excited. I know the guys are super pumped. With me, having that experience of being in BP system, being in his practices, with the intensity they play with in it. Those guys are excited to play against new guys. It's always
Yes.
good to play against new people when you didn't practice against the same guys for months and months and months. Now you get to beat up on different guys. So now with this being an exhibition game, all week it's gonna be like trying to go to sleep. You're gonna be like, oh man, I got an exhibition game. I'm super excited. So this week they're super pumped. I'm super pumped. I'm ready for them to beat the brakes off someone. From me watching those practices and and hearing the things that the team that went through and from the goods and the bads. I just think they're ready to prove to themselves and also to BP that they're ready to play.
Let's go. You mentioned something there that I want to touch on.
Mhm.
So basketball, we've talked about it, has the most unique preseason. You have such an extremely long time that you're practicing against each other, and Bruce builds such depth. Like we're talking squads. Like you're talking about you got a starting five, and then you got a second five that could be a starting five for a lot of places, and y'all are going up against each other and just fighting like y'all. It has to be to a point where y'all might hate each other before you got to get to another opponent because you're beating up on each other every single week. Like, how is that? I mean, when it finally gets here, how does it feel when it finally gets here?
Oh, it feels refreshing. It's like one of those moments of you asking your mom, "Can you get a piece of candy?" and she always tell you no, and then that one day she tell you yes. So every player in that locker room, they might not say it, but it's like excitement. It's like one of those things. Like it's like Christmas. Like like if you're a calm player, in your mind you're jumping around. You're
Yeah.
you're literally losing your mind because you're like, oh, I get to play against new guys. I'm finna go crazy. We finna go win. I'm finna come out here with all types of energy. So it's pretty exciting, and just being a player, just putting on that jersey and getting to run up and down that court, seeing that shot clock, seeing that score, and when the buzzer rang and you see we won, it's like you get that first little joyful game out the way. It don't count, but it's like it counts in your head. So like it's
Yes.
one of those things. I get all my misses, I get my makes in. So if you have a bad game, it's like, okay, cool. It was an exhibition game. I know what I need to
Doesn't
work on.
count.
I know what I can do. So it be just like that.
There you go. Hey, real off sidebar. Mom takes you into the store, says, "Go pick out your favorite piece of candy." What is it? Number one piece of candy. What you got?
Gummies. Gummies. I'm
Gummies.
going with the
Let's
gummies. I'm going
gummy
with the gummies.
bears, gummy worms. What do we got?
I gotta go with the gummy bears.
There you go. There you go.
Gummy
I'm a
bears.
Reese's guy. I like the
Reese's.
big. I like the big cups. I like to get
Big cups.
the big
I,
old thick ones.
I don't think the players can eat Reese cups for the game, but
No.
I do know those guys eat gummy worms
Yeah.
and gummies during the games.
Okay, I got you. Good deal. Hey, so there's some talk about some nothing serious, okay, but there's some, you've been banging on each other for 2 months now. There's some people dinged up. There's some guys, hey, the weather changing, getting some little sicknesses. Let's talk about that. I'm hearing JPP got a little bit of a dinged up thumb. Don't know a lot of details about it. What's the outlook there? How long do you think he'll be out, if any? What are you hearing there?
From what I'm hearing, I was expecting to be playing. Most definitely. If it was me, I'm going against my former team.
That's a good
I
point.
mean, I don't got no choice but to play. I left for a reason, and I went to a Power 5 school, so I'm going to expect him to play no matter what.
That's a
If I
really good
had a
point.
jacked up ankle, I'm playing against my former team. I'm playing against my former coach. I'm gonna make my former coach miss me, so I would expect him to play. And Miles, he's just coming back from being sick, so he got the whole week to kind of prepare to get
Yeah.
him ramped up to each day, to stay in the gym, to get shots up, just to get back into things that he was in before he got sick. So I would expect both of those guys to play.
Yeah. So you made a really good point. It's really tough, no matter how tough the injury is. I know thumbs can be tricky because that's kind of a big deal in basketball. You got to use your hands. So
Hmm.
the thumbs can be a big deal. So I could see him sitting out as a precaution, but as a human, it's hard to imagine that you're going to sit going up against your former team. Like that's one, like you said, you want to get in there and mix it up. And you want to go drop 30 on them because that's the team you left. You got to show them, hey, I made the right decision. I'm going here. Why I left you guys. But and then Miles, like everybody was texting me after tip off at Tumors. Hold, where's Miles? What's going on? Where's Miles? I'm like, y'all chill. We've had this weather, Alabama weather. You can be 95 degrees, and then all of a sudden the temperature drops down, and you got people in hoodies and sweaters at tip off for Tumors. You got dudes in the guys. The basketball players are in like sweaters and pullovers and sweatpants. So like it's chilly. He's going through some stuff. He actually, it's been pretty bad from what I understand. He's been out for at least a week. So him getting his strength back this week is going to be big. I think he'll probably see some minutes, but it wouldn't shock me if they held him out either. But I think you got to take if you're JP, you gotta tape your thumb up. You got to put something on, like you got to put a club on and dribble with your left hand. Whatever you got to do to make it happen. You can't miss that whole game going against your former team.
You can't. It's one thing or another, but one thing for sure, if it was me, I'm not missing that game. If I had to play the College of Charleston, I don't care how hurt I am.
Yeah.
Hey, doctors, wrap me up, take me up, give me some medicine. Let's go.
Give me
I'm
that
ready.
good
I'm
stuff.
down. Give
Give
me
me
give me
that.
that good stuff. Give me the imaginary juice. Let's
Yeah.
go. Like
Have you ever
let's
seen
ride.
Varsity Blues, the movie Varsity Blues?
I don't think I never seen it.
So that's a old high school football movie, and
Hmm.
there's a player in there, and he's got a hurt knee, and the coach
Hmm.
says, "Make him understand." Make him understand. He's got to take that shot. We got to get in there and get after it. But no, I'm with you. It's that's going to be a fun one. It's a closed but open scrimmage. It's not one of those secret scrimmages we're going to talk about, or exhibitions we're going to talk about in a minute. So we're going to get some insight. Zep's going to have some insight shortly after the game. Obviously, we'll get some insight as well. These ones that are supposed to be closed door, they don't keep secrets very well, and we'll talk about that in just a second again. But we'll definitely keep you updated on that. I want to switch gears a little bit because there's a talking point, Zep, that I want to get your opinion on, and it's one that I think is if it's significant, it's something that might be I don't know, maybe frustrating, especially start out of the gate because you have such a heavy schedule load coming up, especially out of conference. But the narrative or the talk is that it takes Bruce a few games to kind of figure out the correct rotations as
Mhm.
far as like when you get into the first few minutes when you have to sub who comes in with who plays with who, and you're going to try a lot of things out because again you're only practicing against yourself. You don't know how it goes into a game. So talk about how long does it typically take to really reel that in? Is it something that's sort of ongoing? And then just your overall take on how Bruce works to find those right rotations.
Well, the way he works on rotations is first he start off with a couple of games and see if those rotations he have works. If those rotations works, he keeps the same momentum and keeps it going. But if those rotations don't work, he goes to his drawing board, go to assistant coaches, go to his whole staff, and figure out what's the plan, what is our weakness, how can we get better, how can our strength be better, which spot is our weakness, which guy can we take out the lineup to go with the second group to get them guys going. Because if you don't have guys in the second group that are going to get your team going, that means someone out the first group that have a little bit of swag that can go with those second guys will go with those guys also. So
Yeah.
it kind of just depends on how are we going to start this season. That's why these two exhibition games are going to be key because he's going to see what type of rotation he can work with, what players are going to fit with each other, and also what guys can listen, what guys can come out the huddle when he drop a play and, and know the plays and just play team basketball. A lot of guys come out and think it's going to be super easy when it's not. So I'll be looking forward to seeing what teams he go with, what type of rotations he go with, and these two games will be key.
So walk us through so the casual fan that doesn't really understand exactly what a rotation is. So if you're just watching basketball and you don't know a lot of details about it, you got your starting five. You can't just sub out all five typically and put in the next five because like you mentioned last year, a lot of times you brought Chad off the bench because that second rotation may not have had quite of the offensive prowess if you put them in just the whole group in. So you maybe bring Chad off the bench to help supplement some offense there. Talk about what is a rotation, okay, and then sort of the importance of being able to find that right mix of like when who comes off and who goes in.
A rotation is basically like a role. Like BP, he's one of those guys. Like when you look at his style, the point guard probably come out the first 3 minutes. If y'all watched last year, um, like Aiden or Trey probably came out the game the first, and then he probably would sub out the 5 man, 5 or 4 man, and then I probably would say the 3 man to come out next after then. Then he just would sub in guys one after one. He's not one of those guys who sub 5 in 5 out.
Yeah,
So it's like every time he subs, you know what time you're coming out. Like
yeah,
unless you're super hot. If you start the game hot, you're gonna stay in the game longer than what you expect. Because being at Auburn, you're gonna play at least 20 to 25 minutes. You're gonna split minutes with your guy, your 1 man, your 2 man, your three, your four, and your five. So one guy might play 23, the other one might play 26. So either way, you know what time you're coming out the game.
exactly. That's super interesting. So it's not so much like if you got two point guards that are relatively close, it's not so much that one of them's going to play like straight 10 minutes and then you're going to sub in the next guy for five and then you put the next guy. It's not so much of like one guy is getting a blow from the like getting a break from the other. You have to be strategic about it. Like you have to be strategic about when he comes out. So maybe you take a guy out a little bit quicker. Like you said, the point guard last year may have come out at the 3 or 4 minute mark so that you could still stagger the point guard with the one with the two and the three, and then you take them out at different times. Like it's not just as easy as it is on like Xbox where you just sub in dudes and the computer does it for you. Like you got to be very, very strategic about it on how you do those things. So I love that technical aspect that the way you break it down, because I don't think we get a lot of that. I don't think we have a lot of that in-depth discussion. And that's something that these, like you said, these two exhibition games, the knock is, hey, we'll start off the year against Vermont and we're trying to figure out rotations, and we're still figuring it out when we could be trying to win the game. And you got two really good exhibition games where you kind of go ahead and get a head start on those, and I kind of dig that. So love that talk. Last quick thing, exhibitions in general. Zep, this year usually there's this like super secret scrimmage.
Mhm.
And I say super secret in quotation marks because y'all don't keep good secrets.
Mhm.
y'all don't keep good secrets. We end up finding out a lot about it anyway. But there's not one really this year, but in the past there's been. So talk about those. Like when you have an exhibition or you have one of these secret practices, is there much difference to that in a game, or do you kind of treat it like a dress rehearsal? Like, is it two halves? Is it 2 20-minute halves? Like you play a real game, or is it situate? Like how does that whole how do these exhibition deals, especially the ones that are like literally behind closed doors, like no fans or anything like that? How does all that work?
When I was there, and I would expect it to be the same way, but when we did it, it was just like a game. You had refs. They called a game as normal, with just no fans was in there. Like you said, it's just one of those things that, even though it's an exhibition, it's closed doors. BP still want to win. At the
Yeah,
end of the day, he treated like a regular game. If it's a blowout, he treated it as the players that don't get the minutes will play. But
yeah,
if it's not a blowout, those guys won't play. But all scholarship players will touch the court, because it's one of those things that he takes this, like I said, it's a regular game. You're gonna go to the board, you're gonna watch film, you're gonna run out, do layup lines, and you're gonna jump ball. You're gonna feel the intensity as soon as you step foot on the court, because those guys on the other team is gonna feel the same way. So, exhibition games are kind of crucial, because
yeah,
when I was there, I don't know if y'all remember, they're a D1 team now, but I think it was like Indiana State. Those guys were up on us by 10. My first year, we had Jabari Walker,
yeah,
and those guys were beating us, and we was shocked.
yeah,
But we ended up winning the game. Those guys played good, and we noticed we had more work to do. And
yeah.
these guys were a Division 2 team, one of the top Division 2 teams. So,
It was Barry, wasn't it? Barry or something like. Was it somebody like that? Maybe
no, I think it was Indiana
was
State.
Indiana State. Okay, gotcha.
Indiana State, because I think BP used to coach there. He won his first national championship there.
Okay,
So those guys were up on us, and we figured, we came into the locker room like, oh my God, these guys are really good. Are we really trash? Which one is it? So
yeah,
I think we were saying, I think we're trash. I think we're trash. So when we came out that second half, we adjusted, we learned new things, and we actually learned ourselves. So the guys are gonna learn their selves, their team, their coaches,
yeah,
just from this exhibition game.
yeah. So I think y'all also played UAB a couple of times. Am I right? You played
We
maybe there and at Auburn in like a
there
closed door thing. Is that right?
close close to a scrimmage, and it was pretty interesting, because UAB have had great teams over the
Yeah,
past 2 3 years. So it was one of those things that there was an NCAA tournament team. So
yeah,
Um, it actually was exciting and fun to play those guys, because we was pumped and rallied to play those guys, because they felt like they could beat us.
yeah.
So we felt it, and I tell
What
you
happened though,
this,
Zep? What happened
what
though, Zep?
happened? We won both games. Won both games. We came out with a lot of energy. BP had us
Like
flying.
buzzer beaters, or you
We
put it on
came
them?
out. We came out winning. I know for one, matter of fact, we won both games by 20
Yeah,
points. And when I
yeah,
took that first year with Jabari and Walker, we was flying around like
Yeah,
us like bumblebees playing defense with our head on fire. We
I
we
love it.
we were so pumped to play in that exhibition game. We just was pumping that close scrimmage.
Does the caboose wants to get in on the exhibition games, don't they? The guy, they call them the caboose. The guys at the end of the bench, the walk-ons, they're ready to get in those games, huh?
We, we try to make sure they get in at the end of these games because we want them to get a little bit of touch, of the real action. But most of the times, everyone is gonna get to play.
Speaking of, all right, so this is the last thing. This is completely off topic, but talking about the caboose. So there was a time, and I can't remember if it was during your time or not. Like they sort of got a lot of ESPN time with their celebrations.
Hmm.
Like when you hit threes or when you dunk, like they got some kind of celebrations on the end. Do y'all see stuff like that? Do you see them practicing like or was the group that you were in was that any or I guess did they do that when you were there? Was that before your time?
They did it when I was there.
Yeah.
Those guys really practice on a lot of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
it's interesting because they actually stay after practice to learn and do those type of things. So it's kind of like one of
They
those
do
things
post
that
practice celebration
post
practices.
practice, before practice.
I love it.
It's pretty interesting though.
I love it. I love the energy. The energy is just like from the start of the bench all the way down to the end. It's a big time. We got some basketball's right around the corner, and we got some big exhibition games. We got one on Sunday, and then one on I guess Saturday, the first. I think Saturday. It's either Friday or Saturday is the first. It's November 1st, and then November 4th is Vermont, the first game. So we got a lot of action to talk about, and it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of kick this season off and have some fun, just growing this thing and talking to you about basketball, Auburn basketball. So, Zep, I really appreciate it again, man. Tell them how they can find you, how to support you, all that good stuff.
Find me on Twitter at RIP_QUAN5, Instagram at RIP_QUAN12.
Yes, sir. You can catch me every single day on the Top Button Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter, _Charlie_5. And we're going to be here once or twice a week. And then we'll get some live post game stuff going on during the season. It's just going to be a lot of fun celebrating and having fun with this Auburn Hoops program. Guys, I really appreciate it. We'll be around soon. Catch us next time. Thanks again. It's another episode of the Barn Hoops Podcast.